members, and we are now all but certain of our fourth team in the ICC ODI World Cup. It is New Zealand. India versus New Zealand on November 15th, Australia versus South Africa on November 16th. This is the World Cup semi-final lineup that we have had, barring a miracle and a near impossible situation for both Afghanistan and Pakistan. Because New Zealand won their game against Sri Lanka yesterday by a comfortable margin, and that too they won it in 23.4 overs, Pakistan now have an impossible task ahead of them on November 11th. Afghanistan today in their game against South Africa have an even bigger impossible task. So, this is the scenario for both Afghanistan and Pakistan if they have to make it to the semi-final. Remember, this is only mathematically. Logically, we all know it is impossible. If Afghanistan bat first, they have to win by a margin of 438 runs against South Africa. It's not happening. So you can safely say that Afghanistan have been eliminated. On the other hand, Pakistan, if they bat first, they have to beat England by 287 runs. 287 to overhaul New Zealand's net run rate. Now remember, 300 plus victory margins have been achieved in 2023. Despite this England side being so rubbish, it is almost nearly impossible for Pakistan to beat England by 287 runs. And if they are chasing, it becomes even more difficult. Supposing if you reach 100 runs, if England are restricted to 100 runs, Pakistan have to chase it down in 5 overs or 4 overs. If they restrict them to 50, then they have to chase it down in 2.3 overs, which is 15 balls. Both scenarios, if you look at it, is next to impossible for Pakistan. And so, for the 6th consecutive time, 1999, 2003, if you look at, from 2007, 11, 15, 19, and now 23. 7, 11, 15, 19, 23. 5 consecutive times, or 6 in the last 7, New Zealand have made it to the semi-finals, and yet again they have punched above their weight. It's been a roller coaster ride for New Zealand. 9 matches, first 4 they won very easily by beating England. That set about the tone and ensured their net run rate never dipped. But at the same time, they lost 4 games on the trot. They lost to India, they lost to Australia, they lost to South Africa, and then they lost to Pakistan. But that Pakistan victory, if you have to say, many were saying that this was the final flicker in the flames. It was. A 21-run margin. Actually, the 2 points were important, but it did not help Pakistan in their net run rate. And honestly to say, Pakistan did not deserve to go into the semi-final because their campaign was woeful right from the very beginning. They beat Netherlands and they beat Sri Lanka in an epic chase. But against the bigger nations, say like India, Australia, they just did not turn up. The India loss in particular was huge. Australia, they conceded 370. That's about it. They lost by 63 runs. They just could not do it. On the other hand, there is now a viral photo trending now, that DRS umpire's call against Tabraiz Shamsi. Now remember, they had lost the South Africa game by just 1 wicket. Had that decision gone in their favor, Pakistan would have won that game, and they would not even have had to deal with net run rate in this situation. Because remember, had they won that game and they had won the New Zealand game, it is going to be a really, really horrendous situation then. Because they would have been on 10, New Zealand would have ended with 10. They just would have had to win against England. So that is why that DRS umpire's call might be one of the moments which saw Pakistan being dumped out of the tournament. So 287 or win by 2.4 overs. Not happening. In any which way, it's not happening. Even in the case of Afghanistan, if South Africa win the toss and they decide to bat first, game over. They cannot win in that situation. So that is the current situation when you have to look at both the teams. Afghanistan and Pakistan, unfortunately, will have to make way. And that is why for the third consecutive World Cup, if you look at it, you had only one Asian representation in the knockout stages, and that is India. India in 2015 were the only Asian nation to be there in the semi-finals. Same in 2019, same in 2023. The last time you had a major Asian representation of three nations, that was in 2011 when India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka were there. New Zealand were the only team outside of the Asian subcontinent to have made it in that semi-final, and that was a very weakened New Zealand team, lacking some of their stars. So that is the current situation. Your semi-final lineup is done and dusted, 99.9%, barring a Kudrat Ka Nizam situation versus Pakistan, which in all practical purposes also gone. It's not happening. So India versus New Zealand at the Wankhede Stadium on November 15th. Australia versus South Africa on November 16th. India will be aiming to get revenge for 2019. Ideal situation, India start as one of the favorites. And on top of that, if you look at it, South Africa will be hoping to end decades and decades of pain by beating Australia and reaching the final for the very first time. Remember, they have also stumbled in the semi-final quite often. If you look at it, 2007, 1999, and now it's 2023, they would really be in that position. So you are potentially looking at an India versus Australia final. You're potentially looking at a South Africa, New Zealand final, or you could see a repeat, New Zealand versus Australia 2015. But ideally, if you have to look at it, New Zealand versus South Africa, it would be an ideal final because one team will be assured a first-time World Cup winner. It's kind of good for cricket also. But then on paper, if you look at it, India, I think no team is stopping them. India are making the trip on November 19th to Ahmedabad. And looking at the way how New Zealand have been playing, a lot of hits and misses, perhaps this is the best time for India to take their revenge against New Zealand. Remember, all the scars of 2019 would be eliminated, and because of that, India will now be favorites and ensure a 20-year pain is further eliminated on November 19th. Now, amidst all of this, one star New Zealand cricketer is in the news for ball tampering. In the Plunket Shield, in the domestic tournament that has been held in New Zealand, Henry Nicholls has been accused of breaching the New Zealand Code of Conduct. He has been accused of ball tampering, and because of that, he may face sanctions. Henry Nicholls has officially not stated anything at this point in time, which means we have to either wait for a statement as to whether he did it, whether Henry Nicholls is guilty of it, and if he is guilty, what are the sanctions that he faces. So that is the latest development in New Zealand. A very, you may say, surprising development. Henry Nicholls has been accused of ball tampering in the Plunket Shield encounter that he was there. So, not good news if you're Henry Nicholls. Remember, he's not been in the national setup for some time now. Loss of form, plus now this Plunket Shield disaster that he's got, the ball tampering scandal, might ensure that his career is now at the crossroads. Ravichandran Ashwin now. I'll focus a bit on Ravichandran Ashwin. He has given his verdict on the Angelo Matthews, Shakib Al Hasan, the timed out controversy that happened in New Delhi. He has stated both Shakib and Angelo Matthews were right. Matthews had the right to be angry because no batter in the world would ever want to get dismissed timed out. And that strap which was broken, all that, it was just a case of bad luck. And on the other hand, Shakib, his appeal was also correct. So in this cases, both are right. Do you agree with Ashwin's assessment that both Shakib Al Hasan and Angelo Matthews were really right in their behavior, in their quotes and all that? I'll be doing a separate Ravichandran Ashwin video on that, so stay tuned on the Angelo Matthews, Shakib Al Hasan situation. What is India's perspective? I mean, if you look at it, what is Ashwin's perspective on the Shakib Al Hasan and Angelo Matthews debate that is currently still dividing a lot of opinion in the world? So that's the current situation that we have got. And I'll take some comments at this point. 99 semis and 2019 semis. Hope the results will be different this time. But Prasad, in the 99 semis, Pakistan faced New Zealand. New Zealand lost in that semi-final by about 9 wickets, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, maybe if you look at it, 2019 semis, it's all for that only. You are gunning for revenge for what happened in Old Trafford in 2019. KK, happy Dhanteras, and all to our family members also, happy Dhanteras to all of you all. May this Dhanteras bring you prosperity. May this Diwali be the light of shining, and also you're having a very good Diwali considering the Indian cricket team's performance. Hope that Diwali wishes are translated well on 15th and the 19th if India qualify. So Pakistan are hypocrites, KK saying. They remember Shamsi but forget about Van der Dusen. Yes, Van der Dusen's dismissal was also very, very awkward in that sense. DRS initially showed the wrong footage, but then later on it was corrected and the right footage was there. But then on internal investigation, it was found out that Van der Dusen was out. So that is the situation that we have got. Would India dare to give a flat pitch in Wankhede to avoid the bold threat? Sarat Chandra Yalamarthi is saying. I mean, India would dare to give a flat pitch. I mean, India can do well in any kind of pitch that is given. I mean, you can give them a flat deck, you can give them a rank turner. I think India will beat any opposition. That is the confidence, that is the strength that they have at this point. And honestly, 2019 New Zealand were the favorites because they were much more disciplined. But here in home conditions, as I repeat again, in home conditions, India are supremely tough to beat. And I think because of New Zealand's poor record against India, in India, that is the reason why I think India will start as one of the favorites. And I think India most likely will go to November 19th final in Ahmedabad. I think that's the way it is. I think India start as the favorites. Any kind of pitch that you give them, India will dominate. And that is why in Wankhede, win the toss, bat first, chasing becomes a whole lot difficult as the game progresses at this point in time. So, Oz headache is South Africa and for India is New Zealand. Yeah, KK, I mean, I do agree. In the last 16 ODIs, Australia have just won 3 ODIs against them. And in this World Cup, the biggest margin of defeat came at the hands of South Africa in the league stages. So, South Africa will be determined to continue their stranglehold over Australia. And that's why don't count out South Africa. They are determined to ensure that they eliminate all the decades of pain that they've undergone. I mean, they beat England for the first time in more than a decade. They defeated New Zealand after 2 decades. That is why this team is very, very determined under Temba Bavuma to ensure that whatever has happened, now they are looking at a new chapter of dominance indeed. And that's why India should not face any, Neil is saying, just pray God, India should not face any bad day in semis or finals. Just they are unbeatable. I mean, I do agree. See, they have now won 8 consecutive games now. If they win against the Netherlands and if they win the semi-final, it'll be 10 consecutive games on the trot. That is their best ever winning streak that they have established in World Cups. Ever. So, that is why India, we all hope that there is not one bad day, but if that one bad day comes, now you've got to be prepared for it. I mean, either it's spectacularly disastrous or it's bad luck. I mean, only bad luck can ensure India doesn't win the cup this time. It's just bad luck. One facet fails on a particular day, it's sheer bad luck. Look at how it has performed all the way through to the thing. How they have beaten the Sena countries in the entire World Cup. It is really, really there. But India do look unbeatable. Yes, agreed. And I have also said it from the very beginning. India are looking the favorites to reach on November 19th, the final in Ahmedabad. Let's see how that goes. So that's the current situation. If SA wins the toss, they bat first and they will mostly Prasad. Yes, I mean, it will happen. And KK, no KK, it's all done. Shane's marriage and everything is all done. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live today. And the remainder of the games now is just a mere formality. No qualification is at stake anymore now. All that has ended. And that's why the remaining 4 games that are there is just to ensure that your league stages end. After this, you only have 3 more games left. This is the 42nd league game that you're going to have today. South Africa versus Afghanistan at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. And then after that, on 11th, Australia versus Bangladesh in Pune, followed by Pakistan versus England in Kolkata. And then your final league game on Diwali date, it is India versus the Netherlands. So happy Dhanteras to all of you folks, and thank you so much for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and don't forget we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Thank you.